You got to keep
You guys
continually.
ready? All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order Wednesday, June 8th, 2022, 12 o'clock, 12:15. Start the regular session, Swain County Tourism Development Authority. Before we do that, if you please just stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cheryl, do you mind?
Father, Lord God, we just thank you for this day. We thank you, Father, Lord God, for the folks, Father, that have come out today and used their time, Lord, to serve this community. Father, we just pray that you will just give us wisdom and guidance, Father, Lord God, in the decisions that we make. And Father, Lord God, that we will take everyone in this county in consideration, Father, Lord God, as those decisions are made. Lord, we just thank you for what you have provided for this county, Father, and we thank you, Lord, for using the TDA, Father, Lord God, to do some great and mighty things, Father, Lord God, for the people of this county. For it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. All right, before we get started in on the agenda, does anyone have any changes to the agenda today? All right, no changes, we'll move on. First thing we have, approval of meeting minutes. So we have several of these, we'll do them one at a time. You've received an electronic copy and there's also a copy in your package. You get the May 11th, 2022 meeting minutes. Need a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Motion by Ron, second by Eugene. All in favor? All right, unanimous, none opposed. Second one, we have the May 11th, 2022 executive session. Need a motion to approve. Motion by Cheryl, second by Afton. All in favor? All right. It's unanimous. Next set of meeting minutes, May 23rd, 2022 public hearing meeting minutes. Need a motion to approve. Motion by Eugene.
Second.
Second by Pooh. All in favor? Unanimous. Motion by Eugene.
Second.
Second by Pooh. All in favor? Unanimous. Opposed. And last one, May 31st, 2022 executive session meeting minutes. Motion by Eugene to approve.
Second.
Second by Pooh. All in favor? All right. That is all the meeting minutes. Thank you. I assume no public comment.
Correct.
Okay. We are good. So next up, Mary Ann's going to lead us through a quick discussion about the budget. We got a copy at our last meeting.
You got a copy. There's a brief packet in there about the budget. It doesn't have all the pages, but basically going to go over the first page that I have here in the budget review. Since you didn't approve at the last meeting, I've made a few changes based on the feedback you gave me, and then I'm just going to point a couple things out that I have not changed, to just make sure you guys are still going in that direction. I took out about $90,000 in marketing expenses. There were some items that are really, we reduced some of the scope of work, removed Google AdWords, and these are some things we can add back in if we're, exceeding our projected occupancy tax collections. And I'm stopping the billboards at the end of this year. In payroll, I added about a total of about $2,000 to the overall budget. It's not substantial, but I wanted to point out that the county Board of County Commissioners recently approved raises for all full-time county employees of $3,500 annually. So I applied that to the budget. For our full-time employees, I already had a raise in there. So it basically, by adjusting to the $3,500, it increased the overall payroll budget by $2,000, actually $1,800, but I just wanted you to know that. As far as the event park, we don't have a solution yet for just thinking about the whole operations, staffing, marketing, promoting, coordinating. I'm keeping the amount in there, 48,000 that we had. And I want to do some more research on other counties and how they're doing this. So I want to leave the money in there so that so we can establish a plan very soon to put the operations together on that. So I'm leaving that in there, but it's not assigned to any person or contract or anything. So I want to make sure you guys are okay with that. I'm just letting you know I didn't change that. I reduced community grants and sponsorships from 50,000 to 38,000. You know, you can let me know if you want me to put it back up to 50, but I just matched what we'll actually spend this year. But if you want to keep it at 50, I can do that. Giving you your budget timeline. I'm hoping to get an approval today. Then today I will post public notices and I will send them to the local paper. And then we would have a public hearing on the budget on June 22nd and the TDA board meeting to officially adopt the budget. That's a very quick process. There would be nothing else on the agenda unless something comes up at the last minute. So it'd be a very quick process. So I'm hoping you can all at least get here to adopt the budget. If you look at the next page, I kind of, you know, I don't want to go through specifically this whole narrative again, like I did last time. I just reviewed the changes with you. I just want to point out a couple of things. If you go to page 2 in the budget narrative, it looks like this. As you know, we have $250,000 in restricted fund balance. I'm putting another $23,000 into the Four Corners project. That would only cover corner 2 to make up the balance. And I talked about this at the last meeting, and I can explain that further. But to cover the whole project, there just aren't enough funds in the budget to cover all 4 corners in the coming budget year. Doesn't mean you can't go back, you know, and amend the budget because extra funds have, you know, more funds have come in that we projected. You can always amend the budget, but as it stands right now, there just isn't enough funds in the budget. So you have 250 in a restricted fund balance. This 23,000 that's highlighted in yellow would be the balance to cover corner 1 and corner 2 if you decide to go through with it. It means that corners 3 and 4 would either come in a future year, or it would come because you've amended the budget because you've collected more occupancy tax collection than we projected. I hope that makes sense.
Needs to keep in mind that our projected goal for this Four Corners project was gonna happen during the winter when people weren't here. So if they're not, the commissioners are not gonna vote on this, and it doesn't happen this winter, you know, this money's gonna roll over to next year, or we can use it elsewhere if we needed to, but more than likely, it's probably not gonna happen this winter, the way things are going right now with us, so, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, next budget, next year, next budget, we can put more money in it to do all 4 corners.
The only other thing I wanted to point out, which I also pointed out at the last meeting, is that the Christmas decor budget, I have not changed it from the last meeting. Basically, the $50,000 I have in here, and that's at the top of page 3 in your packet. I mean, $50,000 basically takes care of the visitor center and the Heritage Museum, and some of the other lighting in that area. It costs us about $13,000, and this is in-house for Christmas trees, cookies, supplies, lighting, decor, tear down. That's what we spent last year in-house. I put another $42,000 in there for additional decor. We have the snowflakes for the light poles. I really think we need to start replacing those, and I need to get with the beautification committee very, very quickly so that we can get things determined get things ordered so that they're here in time for Christmas in case they have to come from overseas or something. So I'm hoping to get with the beautification committee next week if you guys we can talk after this meeting and pick a date and time. If you want to do it on a Zoom, that's fine too, but we got to make some decisions. Everything else is very cut and dried based on what we talked about last week. So are there any questions on this as presented? I have detailed backup on just about every one of these line items, but if you want to see it, I've got an Excel file that's probably got about 25 tabs on it.
Do you remember the water slide, the rec center project, what that request was for? I know we haven't actually received an official request for that.
Right, I believe that would, if it's going to happen, it would come out of your 1%.
Okay.
Next question is, where are we at on the 1% on the existing structures that we're paying for?
I didn't get the amortizations on that yet.
You have, that's 473,000, so obviously if
Okay.
we're paying those off pretty soon, and they're wanting to roll this same 1% into that swimming pool,
Okay.
is it gonna take the entire 473,000?
Yeah, I don't recall seeing the numbers on that, and that project's very in scope from just the slide all the way up to a slide.
It's
Lazy
6
River.
figures, I just can't remember
Yeah.
So
the
it was
number.
6 figures.
That slide thing seemed like it's like $250,000 or so,
Was
wasn't
it?
it?
So,
Yeah, it's
Okay.
up there.
Okay,
'Cause I was like, dang, that would be a good slide for that.
well, they've got it laid out, it looked pretty
Yeah.
decent, didn't it, Jeremy?
Looks
Yeah.
slick. That might actually draw people to that.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. Paint
Okay,
job.
that was the only question I had. I was a little confused by the 1% remark. I wasn't sure if that was the incremental 1% that we had requested last year from the state, or if it was the 1% that Shannon referenced. So that answers that. Does anyone have any questions or comments, anything to add on this year's budget? We are seeking, you see on your cover page, for approval today so that the public notices can be posted, and we can schedule the public hearing on June the 22nd.
right.
And this budget, obviously the budget year starts right thereafter,
Yeah,
July 1st.
yep.
So what's the 81 on the Visidency Conference cover?
It covers 2 people to go to the conference. It covers the conference fees. I can't remember where it is next year. I think it's in like Raleigh-Durham area,
Not very far.
but don't quote me on that. Obviously, if it's in the western part of the state, you know, we don't have nearly the expenses.
I think it is in Raleigh or Greensboro.
Yeah, because usually then you're talking about 2 nights accommodations, you're talking
sent
about
me a thing on
mileage, meals, and we usually never spend that much.
Uh-uh.
But there's some extra in there in case any board members want to go.
I might like to.
Yeah. It's a really good conference. I think a couple of you may have been before. Have you been, Ron?
Yeah,
It's
it's a lot, it's a lot of a lot, it's really good.
a lot of
Yeah, it's
information.
a lot.
It's good across the spectrum too.
Mhm.
It covers a lot of different
Yeah.
areas
Yeah.
of tourism.
Plus being able to talk to the tourism division from the state, really kind of make that connection, it's good.
And the representation for Swain County is always important for
It's
that.
very important.
Mhm.
It's a big number for the fly fishing museum. 60,000.
Where are we on that MOU on that thing?
On the MOU,
For that fly
the fly
fishing
fishing
museum?
building, actually was going to talk to you about that in the executive report, but basically just to tell you that I'm working with the county attorney on it. We're back in talking about that. There's basically 2 MOUs. There's one between the TDA and the county. Actually, the county owns the building, we would operate it.
Yeah.
Then there's an MOU between the TDA and the group with the fly fishing museum.
Has Alan done
Yes.
anything with that yet?
No, he knows it's coming. I have communicated with him, he knows it's coming, and he's looking forward to that.
Oh, very
Mhm.
good. I have discovered that, that is not a 501c3 501c3 at the moment. They haven't filed, Karen is over all that with the Chamber of Commerce. It's all in her hands to keep doing the filings and things on that. She hadn't filed a tax documents with that in 3 years, so as in 2020, they dropped its 501c3. She hadn't filed any reporting on it. And also, being told that the Chamber of Commerce was like a 501c7 or C6, whichever one that is, C6, I believe. They hadn't filed any kind of reports with the state in 15 years.
I looked at it, that's true.
He did.
What's that, correct? Secretary of State?
Secretary of State, that's right, yeah,
Yes.
Secretary of State. So at that point, are they even a nonprofit now? If you're not filing that stuff, then,
I know there's been discussion between the county manager and Mr. Baker on that very topic. They're working through it.
okay.
So I got a question for, I guess for Jeremiah, on this capital outlay for the fly fishing museum, that it was unanimous vote to build this building, and the county's gonna take care of it, and we're paying for materials or supplying labor in this, and it's still scheduled for later this year.
Is that, it,
We need to get the MOU before we break ground.
and
And spend $1 on this building.
that's why I've circled back around with the county attorney. Because we had met on it, I believe in October, and I hadn't seen anything, and I knew it was gonna be, I thought it was gonna be next year, like the beginning of '23, when it got started, so I figured I had a little bit of time, but then at the last county commissioner meeting, county manager talked about June, as
Yes.
in now.
Yeah.
So I circled back around to
Yeah.
the county attorney, and I'm working with her to get those finalized.
Is it realistic to say at the July TDA meeting, we could have those MOUs for approval?
Yes.
I think it's a huge thing that we need before
And I am,
before the county even starts breaking ground.
I'm aware of that, and I'm
If not,
on
we'll
it.
be paying a building for the county to have.
I know. And it's important, and I just, when I just heard that it was moved up from January to June to now, I immediately got in touch with the county attorney and got that restarted.
Okay, we'll look for that in July.
Yep. So if nobody has any more questions about the budget, the next step would be to approve this so that you can adopt it in 2 weeks after the public hearing.
Anyone?
Just one more question for your van. When will you be getting it?
It's in the restricted fund balance. It's been ordered. It was ordered when you guys, the day after you guys approved it, it was ordered.
Yeah, I was wondering, as I seen Selena come parole, she comes by every week in her wagon.
Oh,
I'm
if
like,
anybody
she's
can't wait
keeping
for
it
that van,
exercise.
it's her.
It's like,
I think she kind of likes that wagon, though. It's maroon, and she's, she likes it because she's local and,
Everybody knows her when she comes
oh,
through
yeah,
too. It's
they
like,
do.
I mean, it's, I think it's pretty cool, so.
I think she's gonna have a hard time giving that wagon up. She may not.
That'd be an enjoyable job.
Hey, I've got a question right here on this thing on the back page. I'm just curious what it is. This is TDA print advertising the Smoky Mountain News, $28,532.
Let me know where you are.
Yeah, where's that at?
Page 1 or 2 on this part behind it.
Oh, I don't see it, but I can tell you what that is. That Smoky Mountain News is the publisher of our visitor guide.
Oh, okay,
And so that was the printing.
got you. I
That's
seen that and I thought,
120,000.
Oh, geez, that's a
Yeah.
pretty good price for them.
And
I
we
just
will
seen that and I thought,
distribute
God,
all
that's
of those this year. They will all, they're going quick, because we're distributing them.
Mhm.
East Tennessee, North Georgia,
Great.
the corner of South Carolina, I guess that would be the northwest corner of South Carolina, all the way from the I-75 corridor from Lake City, Florida to Atlanta, and then, no, it's not 40. I'll get you the routes, but it goes
No,
from
no, it's
Atlanta to Charlotte.
Cool,
There, it's all over. We're
cool,
real happy about that.
good.
Yeah, that was a big check to write, so those big ones I remember off the top of my head. I know Eugene had skipped ahead to the financial report, but if you guys want to get past the budget portion of the agenda, we can
Yeah,
move kind of
anyone-
quickly through everything else.
Anyone for other questions on the budget? Otherwise, we're looking for a motion.
I motion to adopt.
Approve.
Approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion by Shannon to approve.
What is it? What are we
Fiscal
calling
year
it?
2022.
22 budget
23.
for the fiscal year?
Oh, sorry, yeah, 23.
23.
Oh, no.
Sorry. I make a motion to approve the 2023 budget for the entire year 2023.
Second.
Second by Eugene. Motion to approve the 2023 budget. All in favor? Any opposed? None opposed? Unanimous.
Glad we got that.
Good. All right.
Executive report? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, I will go quickly through this. Just going to give you an update on a few topics. Marketing and public relations, our ongoing project right now that the website is live, we're working on the SEO, search engine optimization. So there's a lot of work to be done with that. I have a sample Google Analytics reports right behind the executive report, if you want to take a look at some of those. It's kind of interesting, in the first page in Google Analytics, I was looking at the top cities. And look at number 8, I see Ashburn. I'm like, where's Ashburn? It's Virginia. It's a suburb of Washington, D.C. I'd never heard of it before, but it came up number 8. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know if any of you have seen, like, why Ashburn? It just seems so random. But these other cities, I think, are very obvious. We would have probably guessed these, but New York City's number 7, which I thought was interesting. And again, these are visitors to the website. The next page really tells you where the traffic is coming from right now. I just wanted to mention Google Organic is our number 1 referral source, but it is actually in May, it is up 50% to April. And we haven't even really dipped heavily into the SEO yet. That's just us working with meta tags and descriptions. So those are just some interesting facts about the website. And I've also got, the last page is the most popular pages. Number 1 is always going to be the domain name of Explore Bryson City, but then you can kind of go down and we've got about 2,600 pages. So I'm not going to print all 2,600 for you, but I listed, there's some on the back, I listed the first 25. So, and if you go down to number 16, there were 458 people last month that looked up the strawberry jam. Actually, the festival, not the run, the festival. Because we had that on our website. So people were searching for that and found it. 458 people found it on our website. No surprise to what some of the top pages are, but there's so much information in Google Analytics. Can pretty much bring anything you want to see on that. We're also working on creating web pages for the media. So this would include like story ideas, photo downloads, and then Pineapple Public Relations would take all those requests and field those. So that's just one part of the website that's not been developed yet, so we're working on that next. We're also working on what's called the extranet, and that's where business owners can actually log in and manage their listing if they want to, and get some other information from us if they want it. So 2 girls up in the front are working on that. Just a couple other things. There's your public relations report for May is in your packet. It looks like this. And then the next page in your packet is the visitor center totals. Our visitor center totals are down by a couple hundred people in May. So I don't know if you all are experiencing that too.
I do think it's something we're gonna have to talk about, is coming up with some value strategies for budgets for people to draw in here.
Yep. Yeah, you're,
On the marketing side.
like when we get to the occupancy tax collection report, in the month of April, we were down 2% to last year. So we're starting to see, I think we may have plateaued in this whole post-COVID rush that we've had. I think we've probably plateaued.
Can we talk about that just a second? I don't want to get too much in the weeds, because this might be something that we can hand off to the marketing subcommittee for you guys to work on in detail, but to Afton's point about some value-type marketing, you know, in some other places that I've worked before, we've actually seen large improvements in revenue and visitation when the economy's down, gas prices are up, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, that just didn't happen naturally. We had to shift marketing to illustrate, you know, we're closer. I think within 175 miles, there's 13.5 million people to us. There's more people within 150 miles of Bryson City than there are within 150 miles of Atlanta, Georgia. If there's a way to shift that message that's coming out on a lot of the stuff that we put out, we're the closest, you know, you're advertising proximity, you're advertising value because of the free attractions like Darnell Farms, Deep Creek, you know, things like that. Is there a way to create that message and get it out there quickly
Yes,
because of gas prices and
Sure.
inflation and
We're
everything
buying
else?
businesses together to come up with projects where they could have lodging, dinner, reservations, places to go. Tour buses, I have had more calls from tour buses than I've had in years, wanting to know if they could come to my farm because it's a good place to pull in. So tour buses are coming back.
good.
And that's gonna be a big play out of Atlanta, I can already tell. The casino's already seeing tour buses starting to come back more. And they wanna know what deals they can get offered for everybody, a place to stay, they don't have to worry about it.
I'll tell you, we've teamed with another vacation rental property that's in downtown Asheville overlooking downtown with a lady there. And we call it, I think it's something like you stay in the city and stay in the country. So they go there for 3 nights and stay downtown Asheville, and they come to our cabin and stay 3 nights in the mountains. I think it's a good way to combine without sending people to Asheville,
It's
but
just got transportation, and tell people are getting paranoid about it. I'm trying to figure out how businesses can do some transportation things to give shuttles are not gonna be a bad idea here soon.
That's a good
How we
point.
could team up with the county transit maybe.
Yeah.
So what does that process look like to change the message?
Well, there's some things we can do very quickly. I mean, obviously, we can do social media, you can target within 150 miles and send out a message that's that specific. Create different ads for different cities that are like within 150 miles and just target those locations. We don't have Google AdWords set up yet, but if there's, you know, if I can find a way to shift maybe away from print and more into Google AdWords, we could shift that. Those would be the two immediate ones that come to mind.
And do we have the content?
Yes.
Like, so that we can say, we're your closest, to you're working on that proximity or value type message. We do have that content available. It's just
I mean,
matter of
we have it. I mean, obviously, it might need to be shifted a little, you know, wordsmithed a little bit to get specific.
Yeah,
But we definitely have the assets. We have a lot of photo and a lot of video because we spent money on that this current year that we're in.
yeah, okay,
So we have a lot of content. It's fresh, it's new, it's really good.
okay. So I anecdotally, everybody jump in and they've heard differently. I'm hearing the same story across the board from everybody I talk to. There's a softness or a flatlining compared to last year.
Yeah.
And even to some extent previous years now. And, you know, it's one number and it's not even a very large number, but the visitor trends from the visitor center, I mean, we're right in line with the pre-COVID numbers, 2,800. So, you know, at least there's a few data points that are backing those anecdotal comments up.
That's what I've noticed too with ours, is it's more of a, early spring was still booming, and then just all of a sudden, like mid-April, and that was it. So then it's kind of like, looks like 18, 19-ish right through there, maybe just a little bit better than 19, not much. But it's nothing to 20 and 21, I don't know that, I'd like to repeat 21.
Those
again,
might
but
be just gifted years.
I believe they are,
Yeah.
I mean, I really do.
Now, for next year, I just want to remind you, I projected a 5% drop.
Yeah.
I'm honestly wondering if that's enough.
No, I don't think they would do that.
I mean,
I mean, unless we come up with a really good marketing strategy to bind businesses together, I'm not sure how close we can intersect between trying to get businesses to come up with something like that together, but it could solve it. I see other TDAs doing it when I was looking up some stuff.
Okay.
I've always
I will
thought
look at
package
that.
deals were a great idea.
Weekday
You
package
come
deals,
and-
we need to draw people in
well,
on
just
Monday,
staying at a
Tuesday,
cabin and
Wednesdays.
then-
It ain't the weekends we're worried about.
15% off at your
It's the
place.
weekday.
People
Yeah.
shop at your place and get 10% off at a restaurant, and it's just a package deal.
I've tried, I mean, in 15 years, I've partnered with some of the cabin rentals, like Yellow Rose and all them. Johnny was always trying to do some stuff. I never saw, as a shop owner, I never saw anything out of that. But the issue is that you still have the employee shortage with the restaurants. The restaurants are still struggling.
Yeah, they're still.
I mean,
They are, but they're also, when I was at one, they got to where they were getting used to it, and they like those money, the servers are getting good, and they're telling me that it's really bad to have bad Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and then great Saturdays and Sundays.
You found a restaurant open on Monday?
yeah,
Barely.
yeah.
Barely.
I just think, I think you're right. I think that we need to get with the PR people and get something changed quickly to see if we can make a difference immediately.
Yep.
But I think that if somehow we could go back to, and not use the word staycation, but come up with another word that people will maybe try to stay closer to home, which we are a great area for so many places to kind of consider, to be considered their backyard, to come and enjoy a lot of free things. If somehow we could package that up, I think that we could still make a difference in this year's revenue for all of us. But I think that we need, I think the biggest plus for us is that our rates are still, in a good year, are still lower than so many other areas. And what I try to tell people that are just coming into my businesses is that stay here. Stay here. Let this be your hub. Go to Gatlinburg for the day. Go to Asheville for the day. Don't let us, but plant yourself here. And if there was some way for somebody to very creatively word that, like, let this be your home base.
Yeah,
And then I think that we have more of an advantage to convince people to do that, because people do not look at maps anymore. I mean, that's what I find with my shoppers. They come in and they're like, I'm like, well, have you been to Cherokee? We're gonna do that on the next trip. I'm like, the next trip? Well, yeah, I just don't think we can fit that in. I'm like, it's 10 miles. No,
No, I get a lot of recommendations.
didn't know
like
that. It looks so much further on the, or GPSs aren't real effective for a lot of people in our areas. I get, especially in our craft shop in Cherokee, somebody's followed a GPS and they've given them the wrong directions just about every day.
But they like the little simple trips too.
Well, that's what I'm
It's
saying.
simple, they can go to places where they're not gonna have to spend a lot of money, they can go check
Exactly,
things out.
and that's
Kind
what
of
I'm
off the
saying.
beaten path, the locals
Yeah.
trip, you know what I mean?
No, I'm totally with you. I think that we need to, I'm glad Jeremiah brought it up. I think that we need to, give feedback to the people we're paying and, tell them that they need to come up with a new campaign for this summer and let them know that we're being very, we're on it. We're being forward thinkers, gas is $5 a gallon, basically, in a lot of areas. And, but they still wanna travel, they still wanna,
They will travel, they just
They'll
wanna know, I
travel
have
and
people
they'll
say, what
eat.
can we do and not spend a lot of money?
the shopping is who usually takes the hit in downturns like this. They wanna stay, they're gonna eat, even if they bring food,
Yeah.
they're gonna patronize those. It's the souvenirs and the extra money that they don't spend on things that they don't need. And that's fine with, that's fine with me too, but, let's just get them here. And then maybe they'll fall in love and they'll come back when things are better. It's always gonna come back to
I
us.
do think there's a creative way to draw that in there though.
Yeah,
There's something we can hit on that.
we'll work on, I'll get with the PR agency and the marketing
Yeah.
agency. Definitely get with them after this meeting and start talking about some of those things. And I'll update you on that.
Okay. Didn't mean to hijack your report.
No, I mean, really, everything
Actually, it
else.
was after.
I mean, I just briefly touched on the occupancy tax report. That was really the only other thing on my executive report that I didn't like really point out, but that's this file right here, and I think you all have seen that, so. I just wanted to point out that we're starting to plateau. You can see that happening in March and April.
Can I just ask one thing?
Yes.
So does anybody have an explanation on why February ended up being such a good month?
Still, I do. I've got a real good idea.
Because, I mean, if you look at, I mean, we were already trending down in January, but then February was such a, I mean, I opened in February. I hadn't opened in 9 years.
Everybody got the taxes.
February,
Is that,
yeah, you get tax stuff in February, like historically, like in the gaming industry, that's the biggest month that the casino will have in February. You get tax back, you get like 2
Oh,
federal
okay.
holidays, so you get several 3-day weekends, cabin fever, everybody's been buckled in since after Christmas and bored to death.
Everything's
They're like,
cheaper.
let's get the heck out of Dodge.
Mm.
Plus, our weather wasn't bad in February, it was actually pretty good, didn't have much slow, yeah, gas
no, I
was
was,
cheap.
it's, I mean, 11%, I mean, that's,
Yeah. It was a big surge, but it's always, when we both worked out there, I mean, there was hardly anybody's paid time off approved for February or anything, because it
Oh,
was,
okay.
especially on the weekends, it was gonna be record breakers, and it was.
okay.
I don't assume that changed either.
No, it's, you're right, the Monday holiday's 3-day week. What is it, President's Day?
Is that what it is?
Martin Luther-
Okay.
And Valentine's too.
Martin Luther used to be my best weekend when I was a server up there.
Yep.
Okay. Good to know.
The only other thing under number 3 in your agenda was this financial report, and I think Eugene beat us to it, but,
Sorry. I was just standing in.
no, it's okay, but, the budgeted revenue and expense statement is there, so I'm really using this now because basically, we're starting to round out the year financially, so, I spend a lot of time looking at this now that we're getting towards the end of the budget year. There's also the credit card statement and the bank statements in that packet as well. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Mary Ann? Okay, let's wrap up that section. So item number 4 on the agenda is executive closed session pursuant to section 143-318.11A5. Just some confidential and contractual things that we need to discuss in closed session. So we'll wait for Mary Ann to get us off the air and then we'll begin.
have to make a motion
Oh, yeah. Can I get a motion?
I second it.
All right, motion by Eugene, second by Pooh, all in favor? Unanimous.